calling in the docket. All right, we're back 944, the state of Texas versus Matthew John Flaskerud. The defendant is present along with his counsel and counsel for the state. We're here for sentencing. Are both sides ready to proceed?
State's ready.
The defense is ready, Your Honor.
Is there any legal reason why we shouldn't proceed to sentencing at this time?
No, Your Honor.
None from the defense, Your Honor.
Mr. Flaskerud, would you please rise? Mr. Flaskerud, the court having received your plea of not guilty to the second-degree felony offense of intoxication and manslaughter with a vehicle, the jury found you guilty of that offense. The court hereby finds you guilty. The court received your pleas of not true to the enhancement paragraphs in the indictment for punishment purposes. The jury found that both those enhancement paragraphs are true. I'm going to find that those enhancement paragraphs are true, consistent with the verdict. The jury, having found you guilty, having found those enhancement paragraphs true, assessed your punishment, or the court assessed your punishment at, so let me rephrase. You pled not true to those enhancement paragraphs. The court found those enhancement paragraphs true at sentencing, and assessed your punishment at 60 years confinement in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice Institutional Division. The court hereby remands you to the custody of the sheriff of Montgomery County, Texas, where you'll be transported to the Texas Department of Criminal Justice Institutional Division, where you will serve the remainder of that 60-year sentence. You've served 81 days already. The court will award you that credit. My understanding is there's been dismissals filed in his other cases?
They will be filed after this proceeding, Judge.
All right. Mr. Ray, does your client have the ability to pay his court costs?
He does not, Judge.
I'm going to waive your court costs. Mr. Flaskerud, this was not a plea bargain case. You do have the right to appeal. Do you want to be evaluated for a court-appointed attorney for purposes of appeal?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, we'll get that done. You may be seated. I believe we have elocution in the case.
Yes, sir. Church.
I'm hoping, excuse me, that by the time I read this letter, that you have been sentenced to life, to live the rest of your life without parole and behind bars. I can speak for my family only in that instead of coming together, we have now a family devastated and divided. I may have forgiven you for what you've done if you had admitted to what you actually happened, if you had admitted to what actually happened that night of the accident. But instead you blamed my brother, Derek. The day after you arrested me and my other brother, Dee, went to the owner where the accident happened, and he showed me the awful video where I watched you crash into the back of my brother's bike, and it made him. The video played in my head for months, which in turn caused nightmares, seizures, and major depression. You have caused the pain I feel. I'm not being able to hug my little brother, but instead I carry his ashes and the necklace up around my neck. It has been almost 3 years too long that you had to start that new life while it left me, my family, his true friends without closure or justice for Derek. Today that justice is served. but the sadness, anger, and pain you have caused me continues to be very real.
As I write this letter, my heart heavy with sorrow and anger, I am filled with this overwhelming urge to address the man who took away the most important person in my life, my father. I cannot even begin to express the pain and devastation that your actions have caused me and my family. I was just a freshman in high school when my world was shattered by the news of my father's sudden and tragic death in a motorcycle accident. Little did I know that the person responsible for this horrific act was someone my father considered a friend, someone who lived under the same roof as him. I would like to add that I am now a senior in high school. When my father passed away, I was given a version of events that painted a different picture of what truly happened that fateful day. I remember hugging you, thanking you for being there for my dad in his time of need. I remember sitting in my dad's house and you telling me and my family stories and how excited he was for me to start soccer and to see me grow up. Little did I know the truth that was hidden beneath the surface. It was only later that I discovered the horrifying truth of what you had done. The lies you had spun to cover up your horrendous actions only added salt to the gaping wound in my heart. The impact of this tragedy on my life cannot be overstated. My father was not just a parent to me, he was my rock, my mentor, and my best friend. His absence has left a void in my heart that can never be filled, knowing that he will never be able to witness my big milestones in my life, such as watching me graduate, starting college, meeting my future husband, or being able to walk me down the aisle, intensifies the grief I bear. These moments that should be celebrated are now tinted with sorrow as I struggle with the reality that he will never experience them alongside me. The thought of him not being able to meet his future grandchildren adds layers of anguish to the already heavy burden. This grief is not merely a fleeting sadness, it is a constant companion that weighs heavily on my soul and shapes my interactions with the world around me. For 2.5 years you have been running, hiding from justice and the consequences of your horrible deeds. Meanwhile, my family and I have been left to pick up the pieces of our shattered lives, trying to make sense of this senseless tragedy that befell us. The pain and grief we have experienced cannot be put into words. The void left by my father's absence is a constant ache that will never fully heal. The prolonged absence has not only disrupted our family structure, but also instilled a permanent sense of insecurity within us. We fight with feelings of anger towards you, yet we're equally burdened by sorrow for what was lost. Every day serves as a reminder of what could have been, a father's guidance through pivotal life moments, now replaced with an emptiness. My father, a kind, loving man taken too soon, will always be remembered for the joy and love he brought into my life. His unwavering support and gentle guidance shaped my character and instilled the values of companionship and integrity. The profound sense of loss I feel is worsened by the betrayal of a friend who turned against him in the end, revealing a darker side of human nature that I had never anticipated. This individual, once trusted, now embodies dishonesty and cowardice in my eyes. His actions not only robbed me of my father, but also shattered the illusion that I could fully trust those closest to me. In this chaotic time, marked by grief and anger, I find comfort in the dedication revealed by the authorities who have worked tirelessly to bring him to justice. Their commitment to uncovering the truth serves as a beacon of hope. They remind us that accountability exists even when it seems difficult. Through their efforts, there lies an opportunity for healing, not just for me, but for all of those whom Matthew has affected. Now, as you finally face the consequences of your actions, I urge you to reflect on the immense pain and suffering you have caused. The loss of my father is a wound that will never fully heal, a wound that will always be a painful reminder of cruelty and carelessness of your actions. As I stand here, I do not seek vengeance, for it will not bring my father back or ease the ache in my heart. Instead, I seek closure for me, for my family, and for my father. Despite the overwhelming pain and anger that consumes me, I choose to hold on to hope that justice will be served, that my father's memory will be honored, and that my family will find peace in the midst of this storm. I urge you to take a hard, long look in the mirror and confront the darkness within you that allows you to do what you have done. Your cowardly act of running away from the truth only adds to the weight of guilt and shame that you must bear. I want you to understand the impact of your actions on my life and the lives of those who loved my father. The decision to run from accountability does not diminish the consequences of your actions. Rather, it amplifies the suffering experienced by those left in the aftermath. Your actions were not isolated incidents, leaving scars that will take years, if not decades, to heal. Each moment spent avoiding responsibility has compounded our grief, transforming what should have been time for mourning into an ongoing struggle with anger and betrayal. I implore you to recognize that no amount of remorse or regret can ever ease the pain and suffering you have caused. The hollow words of an apology cannot restore what has been lost or bring back the joy that once filled our lives. Instead, they serve as a reminder of your inability to confront reality and accept full responsibility for your actions. I hope you grasp not only the gravity of your decisions, but also their far-reaching implications on countless lives intertwined with my father's legacy. I cannot express the depth of my sorrow and the magnitude of my loss. My father may no longer be here with us, but his memory will forever remain in my heart, a beacon of love and light in the darkness of your crimes. And I hope that while listening to this, you see the little girl you once knew hasn't been that same girl that you knew ever since this tragic event. Used to be filled with love and life, always laughing and playing, now withdrawn and distant as she carries this heavy weight on her shoulders. Her once bright personality is now dull and quiet. My father may no longer be here with us, but his spirit lives on in our hearts of those who loved him, and I will continue to fight for justice for my father, to seek closure and healing, and to honor his memory in all that I do. Though the road ahead may be long, I will walk it with courage and conviction, knowing that my father's spirit walks beside me, guiding me towards brighter tomorrow. And Mary, you carry the burden of your guilt for the rest of your days as a reminder of the pain and suffering you have caused.
All right, thank you. I need to mention for the record that there is an affirmative finding of a deadly weapon in this case. Is there anything else that we need to take care of?
Justice to dismiss the judge.
All right, I'll get those signed. Anything else from the defense?
No, Your Honor.
All right, we're in recess.
Minutes, right?
Yeah. What's your name? And spell it?
So it's CRISS and then COLE.
Okay.
And Taylor Venegas, TaylorVanegas.
Taylor, tell me about this case today. I mean, this has been going on for quite a while. He kind of vanished for a while.
Yes, sir. Yeah, so this was an intoxication manslaughter case that happened back in 2022, and the defendant, Matthew Flaskrud, was riding a motorcycle with his friend, Derek Hinsman. They were riding on separate motorcycles, and Matthew Flaskrud was very intoxicated. He had consumed some marijuana, and was also later found to have a .142 BAC. As they were pulling into a parking lot, Matthew Flaskrud drove off the side of the road through the grass, drove straight into his friend, never hit the brakes, never tried to avoid the crash, hit Derek, and knocked him over and killed him in that parking lot. Fast forward about a year, and we go to trial in the summer of 2023. Matthew Flaskrud pleads not guilty. We present the case. Chris Cole here with me came on board and helped me try the case. We presented the evidence, and after we closed our evidence out, we finished our case, the defendant decided he wanted to no longer participate. He cut his ankle monitor off and fled the state of Texas. Now, we continued with the trial without him. He was found guilty by a jury. Judge Phil Grant sentenced him, or heard punishment evidence in the case, heard that the defendant was a habitual felon, had been sentenced in the past for sexual assault, child abuse crimes, intoxication offenses, and had been to prison twice before. After hearing all of that, as well as evidence about the bond that Matthew Flaskrud had jumped, Judge Grant stated that he was going to sentence the defendant to 60 years in prison. And then after that, we had about 15 months of the defendant being on the run. Matthew Flaskrud was out there in the wind. There were a lot of efforts to locate him. And he eventually was found after an anonymous tip was made in Colleton County, South Carolina, where just a good Samaritan happened to notice him and had heard about him, seen about him in the news, and made a tip. And some good work was done by the folks out there at the Colleton County Sheriff's Office. They located him, pulled him over, made contact with him. He tried to get out of it, tried to lie about who he was, but that didn't work. They were able to identify him positively through various law enforcement means, and after that, we had him. So he was transported back here a couple months later, and today here we are, and it's a good day that Matthew Flasker has finally been sentenced to that 60 years of prison.
Was he fighting extradition, or I know it took a while to get him back here, is it?
Yes, sir. Initially, he did fight extradition, which is his right. He can do that if he likes to. He wanted to fight it. He attempted to do that for some period of time, but after it was clear that it wasn't going to work, we were going to get him back, he ended up folding and waived it and voluntarily came back.
Okay. Chris, during the trial, kind of run me down the trial. How did it go? What were the high points of that trial?
Well, Taylor here did a great job starting to voir dire with picking good jurors for the case, jurors that would listen to the evidence, hear both sides of the story, and then come to a just conclusion. In the end, those same jurors came to that just conclusion with a guilty verdict. There were quite a few witnesses during this case. You heard from Officer Bell with the Conroe Police Department. He took the stand and he talked about his investigation on scene with scene evidence that the defendant had driven off the roadway and had not applied the brakes on his motorcycle before colliding with his friend Derek. You heard from various other witnesses, and you saw evidence of surveillance footage of the crash. And that was very pivotal in our decision to go forward with these charges and our ability to get a guilty conviction.
All right.